I consider myself a mathematical person. I'm usually described as a logical thinker. But in episode 15 of the What's Cookin' podcast, we're going to dive into some of the creative endeavors that I've had. Some of the content creation I've produced over the years. Let's take a look. Here we go. What's cooking, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. Thank you for joining me. This is episode 15 of the podcast, the big 1-5. It's crazy to look back and see all the progress that we've made with this What's Cooking podcast, all the guests that we've had on, and I'm loving it, man. I'm enjoying talking about so many different things. I think that it's really gotten me out of my comfort zone, and it's gotten me to places that I never would have been otherwise, you know? Certain buildings that I've gone to, certain places I've been, certain people I've talked to. These aren't things that would happen had it not been for this podcast. And I'm really thankful for the opportunities that I've been given and the engagement with all the people that listen. So if you guys have been a guest on the podcast, I appreciate you. If you've offered to be a guest, I appreciate you. Or if you're just simply listening right now, I appreciate you guys. This is something that I kind of never really thought I'd be doing, but I feel like it's going to help me in so many different ways. I've talked about that in episode 1, and I've talked about that in a couple other episodes. Just speaking and as a life skill is so important. Communicating, asking people questions, being able to explain yourself is so important. In almost every job that you would ever have, you're going to be better off if you're able to speak in a collective and organized manner. You're able to get your thoughts and opinions across in a way that other people really listen and appreciate. So that's what I'm trying to work towards. That's what I'm trying to improve on. And I feel like I've done a good job so far, but I also have a lot of progress left to make. So we're going to look forward to keeping the improvement going, keeping the guests rolling. Not today, however. There's no guest on the episode today, but I still feel like I'm going to be able to provide some interesting memories for anybody that's curious. Today's topic is my content creation that I've had across my life. Obviously, right now I'm creating content as in the form of a podcast, but I've done a lot of different things over the years that would fall under this category of creating content, and I want to kind of take you guys through some of the reasoning behind why I do the content creation that I do, the enjoyment that I get out of it, the inspiration that I take from, and just kind of my thoughts and reasoning behind some of the decisions I've made around content creation throughout my life. It goes back further than a lot of you guys would think. Maybe some of the OGs will remember where it all started for me in terms of content creation, but I think most of my audience probably doesn't go back that far, so it's going to be a new learning experience for you guys, and I'm excited to share all the steps of the process that I've gone through making some sort of social media or online content. So enough rambling from me. Let's go ahead and hop into it. I want to first say that my content creation was mostly inspired, in the early stages anyways, by watching YouTube videos. I believe YouTube came out, maybe 2005, 2006, I want to say. I don't think I ended up watching YouTube videos until probably around 2007, 2008. I know for a fact that some of the first ever YouTube videos I watched was a channel called Nigahiga. And at the time, Nigahiga was one of the biggest YouTubers. He actually was the #1 most subscribed YouTuber for a stretch, probably like late 2000s, early 2010s. He dominated YouTube. He was the most popular. He was a hilarious guy. Ryan Higa, he still is, but he's kind of moved away from YouTube video creation into other stages of his life. But I always go back and watch some of my favorite videos from him. How to be ninja, how to be gangster, how to be nerd. These videos are classics. If you guys ever get bored, go look up on YouTube, Niga Higa, how to be ninja, how to be gangster, how to be nerd. Those three are really just great examples of early days of YouTube. No ads, no clickbait, no affiliate links, no thumbnail gotcha reporting based off of clickbaity titles and scam links and stuff. It's just pure, man. It's just pure entertainment. It's just pure comedy. And that's what Niga Higa always based his content on. This guy was an original creator. He was very, you could call him a pioneer, I guess. He kind of led some trends. He was a trendsetter, in my opinion. And he really captured the early YouTube audience in a way that not many other people did. And what he did was just mess around with his friends, pretty much. Him and his friend named Sean, they would just do some of the strangest things and some of the goofiest stuff, and people got a kick out of it. And so that kind of showed me that it's okay to like show your goofy side, and people will, if you deliver it in the right way, people will appreciate that and get a good experience out of it. And so watching these Niga Higa videos and seeing the success he had kind of made me want to give it a shot for myself. Obviously, at this point, I was like a 9-year-old kid, so I didn't really have the resources, the knowledge and plan of attack that it takes to really hit it big on YouTube. But that didn't really stop me from going for it. I think when I turned 9 years old, maybe 9 or 10, for my birthday, I got a camera. It could take pictures, it could take videos, and you'd have to plug it in to like a computer to directly upload. It didn't have internet access or anything. So this is before I ever had a smartphone or anything, or even a phone to begin with. But I would be running around with my camera. I had a tripod with it too, which was really cool. And I would set up the tripod in my room and turn on the video camera and just start like improvise, like talking about random stuff. And I uploaded it to YouTube, and that's when I created my YouTube channel. I called myself Bflakes because I think some of my friends in elementary school like had the nickname Brandflakes or something, but I shortened it to Bflakes. So that was kind of my way of staying semi-confidential on the internet while at the same time kind of revealing who I was, because my close friends would know, but other people wouldn't be able to tell. And that's kind of the zone I wanted to fall to, the zone I wanted to be in as far as confidentiality. But yeah, my first YouTube video was published in January of 2010, and I think it didn't even get like 50 views. It probably got like 30 or 40 views to this day. It's not really some of my best work. It's just kind of me talking about what's ever on my mind. But we really got my friends into it, and we built it up a lot more as the years went on. Some of my neighbors from my childhood, one's named Ben and one's named Robbie. Those are probably the two main guests that I had on my YouTube channel. There would be times where we go over to Ben's house and we just flip on the laptop and start recording, and Ben would bring his cat into the room, and me and Ben and Robbie and Ben's cat, and we would always just start an argument over something, and Ben would be rambling on some tangent and Robbie would be making fart noises and I would be singing a song, and it was just so chaotic. But it really shows the mind and the thought process of a 9 and 10-year-old. And I think that's really cool to look back at how strange and random and crazy and funny we were, because that's just the life of being a kid. You just kind of say what's on your mind and don't really care to think too much ahead of time. And sometimes it's cringy to look back, but other times you're glad it happened. So I had a lot of fun doing that with Ben and Robbie. And then also we had a couple other of my friends, and my brother was in on a few videos too. But we would just be running around the neighborhood doing weird stuff. We'd have basketball videos in my backyard. We would be playing soccer. We'd be doing random stuff, wrestling each other. Ben would always use the stuffed animals in my room to like battle against each other. And he would have the stuffed animals like fight. And then there was one video where Ben was getting like choked out by a stuffed animal chipmunk. And he would just make it so entertaining, and it just shows how creative of a guy that he is. And I really hope that we have him on the podcast sometime, because he's always a great conversation and a unique personality to have on. But you guys, if you want to look it up, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, or you can ask me if you want to see some of these YouTube videos that I've posted over the years. I can send you in the right direction. But this is really the earliest point I remember of me creating content on the internet. And it was just a way for me to get my creativity out, to express my thoughts in new ways, and to kind of jump in on a trend that I had seen other people do, like Nigahiga on YouTube, and early days of the internet. And so it's really cool to look back and see all that. And I was just watching some videos earlier before I jumped on the mic today, but it's crazy to think that my YouTube channel, those videos were uploaded 12 years ago. I don't know if that feels like too long or too short or just right, but like, it's insane that we're able to look back and see some of those memories. So let me know if you guys want to check those out. I'll send you over to YouTube, and I'll give you the links, and you'll be able to look at some of the random stuff that we do. But that's going to be it for YouTube, early days, Bflakes videos. Next step in the content creation journey from there, I went off to middle school in 2011, late 11, early 12. That was about the end of the Bflakes channel. It was mostly late elementary school. I think middle school, I never really did any Bflakes. I made a new YouTube channel called xBrandonian. This one wasn't as in-depth and as dedicated as Bflakes was. This was kind of just a way for me to kind of throw some video game content out there. I started off with Hot Wheels Velocity X, one of my favorite childhood games of all time. And I started doing a walkthrough of adventure mode, because I just wanted to play the game and let other people see the game the way I play it, and just like go through the levels and show off the stuff that you can do in the game. I didn't actually finish the series. I think I got like 5 episodes in or something, but that was a lot of fun. It kind of rekindled the flames of content creation in a new way, rather than me and my friends like going around saying funny stuff in front of the camera. This was me playing a game, kind of taking a new route into video game content, and it was a interesting experience. I didn't really have the greatest screen capture software. There's quite a bit of a barrier to entry, especially as a 13-year-old making these videos. I didn't really know what I was doing as much as some of the better content creators, but that was the thing to do at the time. Minecraft was taking off like wildfire in like 2011, 2012, 2013. And I kind of saw the gaming movement at that point and wanted to get in on it. So I tried my hand with Velocity X. I also later on uploaded some NBA 2K and Madden highlights to that channel. that's just kind of like a dump of content, not really like thought out and planned, but just kind of like a way for me to look back at it later on, which I did today, and it was kind of funny. But that's what I would call the second phase of my YouTube videos, the xBrandonian era, the 2.0 rather than the original Bflakes era. So that probably took place from 2013 to 2015, 16, I would say. It died off pretty quickly as I was leaving middle school and going into high school, which is interesting that those two eras so perfectly aligned with the school that I went through, Bflakes with elementary school, xBrandonian with middle school. I go off to Kennedy High School in 2014. I didn't really make a third YouTube channel for the third step of my journey. I kind of just did like some independent one-off videos of certain events at this point. The earliest one I would remember from high school, in my Language Arts 9 class, LA 9, we had an assignment where you had to kind of take yourself through a process of doing some creative project and uploading the steps along the way. I don't really know the exact boundaries for the assignment, but somehow I convinced my teacher to let me make a ping pong trick shot video. I called it my ping pong mixtape because I threw a lot of songs in there that would, like, as the beat drops, the ping pong ball would like fall in the cup or something like that. I don't know. I was being super goofy as a freshman in high school, but yeah, I still have that ping pong mixtape video somewhere in my cloud files. Me just going around my house, setting up some of the strangest arrangements of objects to bounce ping pong balls off of. I think I was using pots and pans and cutting boards and coasters and stuff. Just getting fancy and getting creative, different household objects. That was really the trend at the time, similar to Bflakes with the Nigahiga stages, xBrandonian with the gaming stages. I kind of went into my Dude Perfect era here, drawing inspiration from them and a couple other trick shot YouTubers and putting that together. That was pretty fun to record and to see those shots go in. I think it kind of got old pretty quick though. You kind of run out of ideas. At least I did. I tried so many different ping pong shots around my house, and it ended up being a cool video, but then I kind of was looking forward and be like, all right, what's next? That didn't really last as long as some of the other projects I had done. So another thing I remember is a graduation party that I went to for one of my neighbors. And I had a high school friend who also knew this neighbor, and we both went there. And I started like recording videos on my phone of us like doing 360 cornhole shots and like between the legs, football snapping on the run, roll out, deep pass into the cornhole, and just like some of these random funny videos that we could do. And I made some super dramatic intro to this video with like stock footage of horses galloping on a beach and like dramatic pirate music in the background. And I was really just trying to make such a emphasis on the editing and the production of these videos rather than just the content inside of them. I was trying to use Windows Movie Maker as much as I could to throw in some subtitles and some cool cuts and video effects and stuff, and really just kind of push the boundaries of my content creation abilities at this point. And it was cool at the time anyways. I thought it was funny, and that's why I did it. And I think some of my friends enjoyed it, and I'm glad that I did it. Looking back on it, it kind of is a little cringy at times, but I feel like you shouldn't judge past projects through the lenses of today. You kind of have to take it for what it was at the time. And that's why I look back at these things occasionally, and it kind of gives you a glimpse into your thought process at the time. So it's cool. It's cool to make those independent little one-off projects. I do have a couple more that I need to share with you guys here. This kind of is going to go a little further into the future chronologically, but I'll hop back into the timeline after this. So the ones that I already listed for independent projects was the ping pong mixtape and the graduation party trick shots. I also did a 30 for 30 documentary on a spaghetti bridge that me and my friend built senior year of high school. We had a spaghetti bridge that we built that survived the first day of weight testing. We put it stored away in some closet in the physics room, came back the next day and saw that like a third of our spaghetti bridge was broken off. And I don't know who did it. I don't know if someone bumped into it or dropped it or something, but we came back and this thing was partially destroyed. The spaghetti bridge somehow still put up big numbers. We decided to test it anyways. We decided to keep going even though part of it broke. The remaining piece was outperforming some of the other bridges who were fully intact. That thing was a trooper. That thing was able to persevere, to defy the odds. And it was worthy of me creating a 30 for 30 on it. I had some really dramatic music in there. I had some really inspirational quotes. And just me kind of trying to over-dramatize a ordinary event. But that's kind of the fun that I had back then, is trying to hype things up. And that's why I made a 30 for 30 on a spaghetti bridge. So there's one last subject I want to talk about with these independent projects before I move forward. One of the things I've always loved to do in my family is to instigate and to stir up commotion and to try to get a reaction out of people and to try to stir the pot. And what I've noticed over the years is that when our family is taking pictures, particularly when my mom and my brother are involved at the same time during a picture taking session, this is one of the best times for me to capture some of the chaos and some of the commotion that goes on. And so I decided to prepare myself when I knew a situation like this was going to happen. It was my brother's high school graduation. This was 2016. I loaded up the selfie stick and attached my phone, and I went out into our front yard where they were taking pictures, and I decided to kind of instigate and stir the pot as I do. I was waving the selfie stick all around and trying to get a reaction out of my brother while my mom was trying to take pictures of him, and it kind of made for some funny content. They were arguing a little bit. They were kind of going back and forth, and some of the quotes and some of the memories we got from that was hilarious. My cousins always like to do some of the similar things like that too, and it's kind of been an ongoing joke with us. But yeah, me going around in 2016 with a selfie stick during my brother's graduation pictures, some of the best memories I have of instigating and stirring the pot. There's some very goofy photos that I still have on my cloud storage somewhere, a couple of videos as well. But the one that really takes the cake for me, maybe my best independent project of all time, was my brother's college graduation. I had seen the success from his high school graduation. I had been through the chaos and the instigation of the past, and I knew that this might be one of the last golden opportunities for me to instigate and stir the pot at this graduation. So once again, I charged up the selfie stick. I charged up my phone. I was taking videos early and often, boys. I knew that I had to start at the beginning of the day and try to last the whole way through to put together an epic highlight reel of funny moments, of arguments, of small little things throughout the day where people were stressed out and saying strange things and trying to get under people's skin. And I turned it into a really cool, like, vlog, you could say. And that kind of mirrors the time of the time I was doing this once again, because vlogging channels were becoming super popular at this time. People just like doing a day in the life type of content. And that's what I kind of just decided to do, as I kind of saw the trend and I went along with it. I inserted some audio of a Niall Kinnock Heisman speech into the graduation video, because I took a picture of my brother who was standing slightly behind a podium at his graduation, and it looked like he was giving the commencement speech. And then that's when I decided to kind of throw in the little Niall Kinnock, "I thank God I was born on the gridirons of the Midwest and not on the battlefields of Europe. I can speak confidently and positively that the players of this country would much rather struggle and fight to win the Heisman Award than the Croix de Guerre. Thank you." So that's pretty funny to throw that in there. And I showed it to my family and some of my cousins, and they all got a kick out of it. So mission accomplished for me. I didn't post really any of these independent projects to YouTube or anything. These were just kind of for my own keeping, for sharing among friends. Maybe the Spaghetti Bridge one did make it on YouTube. I'll have to go back and look, but this was kind of more of just for myself. You know, I didn't want to chase views. I didn't want to chase social media fame necessarily in this phase. I just kind of wanted to make content within friend groups and within family that we could look back at and get a kick out of. And I think that I succeeded at that. So that's going to put a cap on the independent project making section of my content creation career. We're going to head over to the next phase, which was Vine. I believe Vine started taking off in 2015, I want to say. Could have been 2014. You know what? It would have had to have been 2014, because I remember I had braces in one of my Vines, and I got braces off end of freshman year, maybe. Okay, so end of freshman year was 2015 for me. It could have been early 2015. I'm going to call it 2015. I did create a good deal of Vines, probably around 5 to 10 total. I don't know, maybe that's not considered a good deal, but there were two that I specifically remember. I think I have them saved. It was me in my friend's basement going on an app called Dub Smash, which was a app where you could take audio clips and record footage of you lip syncing the audio, or just like doing any sort of video creation to that certain audio. And obviously TikTok has kind of dominated this area recently, but this was kind of the early days before TikTok existed. And we went on Dub Smash and we did that and uploaded it to Vine. So one of the Vines I made was me saying, if you guys remember this thing called the Dean Scream. I think it was a guy named Howard Dean, and he was like a political candidate. And he said something along the lines of, "And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Yeah!" And that was a popular dub smash that you could do. And I had really no idea the context around it until late high school. I think I had it in a U.S. history class. They kind of explained the significance of that moment, but it was just a really funny audio for me at the time. So I decided to do a lip sync to that and post it to Vine. It did do pretty well, if I remember. It did get a decent amount of revines, which is like the equivalent of a retweet. But my favorite is a dub smash of Super Hot Fire saying, "Boom, bam, bop, bada bop, boom, pow." And it was just the strangest lip sync for me to do, because I didn't have anyone around me. It was just me in the basement, like recording this by myself, and there was a huge crowd in the actual version of this video. But what I did is I shook the camera at the end when I was like screaming, and it kind of gave it the effect like I was getting mobbed, I was getting surrounded by a bunch of people, when really it was just myself. But this video, I remember it got like over 20 revines and like nearly 100 likes on the video. It started doing numbies, it started doing numbers. And I believe that was probably the best I ever did on Vine. Nothing really much came after that. Obviously, Vine was taken down. You guys remember hearing that in the summer 2016 episode last week. But yeah, I did a little bit on Vine, had fun with it, and went on my way once it was taken down. Next up in the content creation timeline here, I believe we take a quick break, and I don't think I did a whole lot for a couple of years after this until 2018 summer. I was once again getting back into Hot Wheels Velocity X, as I do from time to time. And this was around the time when I started actually getting more interested in video game speedruns. I had watched Sonic Adventure 2 Battle speedruns from one of my favorite streamers, Talon2461. And I was watching SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom speedruns from one of my favorite streamers named Shift. I've talked about Shift before in a previous What's Cooking episode. These guys were at the top of their game, and they were at the top of the leaderboards for these speedruns. And it was really cool to see some childhood video games get played at the level that they played them. I really didn't know that some of the things they were doing existed in the game. I didn't know some of these things were possible, and it made me want to get into this area and kind of play around for myself. So what I did is I looked up the Hot Wheels Velocity X Speedrun.com leaderboard for any percent, and I saw the video of the guy who had the world record at the time, and I tried to replicate as closely as I could his speedrun strategy. And it was tough at first. I didn't really know the best way to kind of control the movement in that game. I didn't really know the best approach to everything, but I kept practicing. I kept rewatching his speedrun and kind of taught myself some of the things he was doing. And within about a week or two, I had tied his speedrun time. And I actually had a run where I beat his speedrun time, but I didn't have the recording software going at the time. So for your speedrun to be official, you have to screen capture and obviously post the submission to speedrun.com to be verified. And so I messed around with some different screen capture softwares. I think I ended up going with OBS, is one of the more popular ones, open broadcast software. And I once again sat down. This was so strange, actually. It was at my kitchen table at my house. I used my laptop to screen record me playing Hot Wheels Velocity X, and I broke the world record for Hot Wheels Velocity X any percent speedrun with the screen capture on. Uploaded that bad boy to speedrun.com. It got verified by the mods. I broke a world record in Hot Wheels Velocity X speedrun. And that was such a cool feeling. I remember getting up and celebrating and just like running around my house, being so happy that I did that. And it only took me like a week or two. And that was like eye-opening to me that like I had the ability to do that. And I kind of, unfortunately, didn't push myself any further than that. I just kind of sat on top of the mountain at the time. And a couple months later, my freshman year of college, I went again on the leaderboards and noticed that the original world record holder beat my time and beat it significantly. He had made so many improvements. He had done so many different things to improve his time and pass me up. And to this day, I've never made it back to number one. So I had a short reign at the top, but it's something I can claim. I am a former world record holder of Hot Wheels Velocity X any percent speedrun. Next on the content creating timeline, This is one of the most significant ones. This is one of the most social media fame-centric periods that I've ever gone through. TikTok. Yep, it's time. It's time to go into TikTok, guys. This was early 2019 when I first downloaded TikTok. My college roommate at freshman year, he had TikTok in 2018, and he was I think he first got it as a joke, just because like he had seen so many memes about it and wanted to see how cringy it was and stuff. And I was like, I'm not doing that. That's just dumb. And finally, it broke my willpower, and I had to check it out because my man was cracking up so much. But I went on there and started liking it, and I thought it was super funny. And this, I'm going to sound like a cranky old man again, but this was a different time in TikTok. This was early stages, 2019, not as developed as it is now, not as, social media influencer driven type of content where you have the famous people and all the drama and stuff. This was just the pure vibes, man. This was just people uploading funny stuff. No arguments, no drama, just vibes. And it was great. And I consumed content on there for a while. I was just watching videos, trying to see what it was all about, until summer 2019, I decided to start creating some TikToks. I think the first one I ever created was in Marriott Ballroom. Took a video of a bunch of chairs and put it to the song by Adele. There was a trend where you take a video of one individual thing and then you pan over to like a ton of that exact thing in one tight location. And I did that with ballroom chairs. And it didn't do very well. It probably got like 500 views at first, which is like a lot for YouTube, but not very much for TikTok, I guess. I decided to keep creating and keep going. And the more I posted, the more views and the more followers and the more comments and likes that I started getting. This was going into my sophomore year of college, and I posted a video of me recreating a scene from The Office, which really started taking off. That one had like over 10,000 views, hundreds and hundreds of likes, a bunch of comments and stuff. And I was like, wow, okay, this is actually starting to pick up a little here. Then I went through my camera roll and decided to go back to high school and posted a video of one of my friends who was a state champion wrestler. He was wrestling just jokingly around with another kid, and he pinned him without using his arms. His arms were behind his back, and he still was able to pin this other guy. And it was a super funny video, and I posted it to TikTok, and it got like 20,000 views or something, which was more than the previous one that I had. So I was like, man, I just keep going up and I keep going up. I got to keep finding ways to top this. Then I go ahead and I make a college football fan stereotype video where I was kind of making fun of Nebraska, and I was like, yeah, Iowa and Wisconsin and Ohio State are like the main contenders for the Big Ten championship. And then the video was basically poking fun at Nebraska at the same time while uplifting Iowa. And this one went crazy, guys. I'm pretty sure to this day it has over 500,000 views. It has thousands and thousands of likes. And at the time, I was really excited and motivated to make more of those. This video ended up going on Iowa Chill, which is a social media account that kind of posts like all things Iowa. They posted it on their page, and without asking me too. Like, come on, guys, you need to get my permission out here. Anyways, I should be making money off of this, you know. But it was cool to see that. I got posted on Iowa Chill, and a lot of my friends saw it and were like, yo, that's so nice, that's so cool. and the short-term fame and everything, hey, that's me. I made a few more of those type of videos, college fan stereotypes. They did a similar amount of views and likes. Probably not quite as good as the first one, but it was really fun to kind of get out of my comfort zone, kind of like I'm doing right now with this podcast, and just explore new creative ways to entertain and have fun. But there was one video that stood alone on my TikTok channel, page, whatever you want to call it. I made a PowerPoint presentation, which was a trend at the time. I made a PowerPoint presentation, like word for word, with images of this interview with a guy named Charles Ramsey, who like discovered girls that were trapped against their will inside of some guy's house. And there's a really funny interview with him. It's called Dead Giveaway, if you guys want to look it up. There's like a remix video called Dead Giveaway, but I basically took that interview audio and made it into a PowerPoint presentation and threw in a bunch of funny pictures and stuff. And that video got over 840,000 views on TikTok. It got over 136,000 likes. That's pretty crazy. That's when I was like, hold up, what is going on? That is unreal. I didn't know that they would get anywhere near that. And I thought I was really onto something. And I wanted to keep making TikToks. I did keep creating videos, and they did have a moderate level of success, but I was never really able to replicate that type of content fame, I guess. So my channel at its top, my TikTok profile page, it made it up to 8,800 followers. And I think my total likes are up around 330,000, which is pretty insane to think about. But once I had accumulated all these followers and likes and attention and everything, I kind of hit the top of the mountain, so to speak, as far as creativity and ideas and motivation, I guess you could say. I started getting busy with schoolwork. I started having other priorities go on, and obviously the pandemic happened, and I was on TikTok watching videos a lot more often than I would have preferred. I kind of got into some bad habits of watching TikTok a lot more than I should have. It got a little repetitive for me. It got a little too much to handle, and I got sick of it, and I decided to stop making TikToks. And then eventually, once I had started kind of going into this binge watching of TikToks and these short video reels and highlights and stuff that kind of try to capture your attention and keep you on the app and do everything they can to get you to keep scrolling and keep watching, ended up deleting TikTok. This is probably late 2020, early 2021. I had enough, guys. I did not want to keep going down that path of wasting time. Even though there's so much creative content on there, there's a lot of fun and wholesome and innocent and pure people on there who do a lot of good things. I decided to make the decision to delete TikTok, and I've stayed off of it for coming up on 2 years now. I think this is better for my productivity. I think this is better for my state of mind, I guess. Even though there's other social media websites and apps that try to replicate TikTok. You have YouTube Shorts, you have Instagram Reels, Facebook has that short video type of thing. Those are all good to a certain extent, but they're also just, they can be super degrading to your like state of mind and your ability to be productive and your attention span. I feel like I could notice my attention span just like disappearing. Like I'd be checking my phone every 3 seconds trying to see new updates and new notifications and like hoping to see something entertaining, and just like mindlessly reaching for my phone when there was really no reason to. And that kind of led me to distance myself from TikTok, even though I still need to get better at doing the same thing with other social media apps. I had to draw the line somewhere, guys, and that's where I put my foot down. And I don't see myself downloading TikTok anytime soon. So maybe you disagree. Maybe you enjoy TikTok. Maybe you get a lot of entertainment and you're able to control yourself. And if you do, then more power to you. I'm glad that you are able to do that. But for me, I've made that decision to get rid of it, and I think it's overall helped me. So this will bring us to current day, guys. This will bring us to the What's Cookin' podcast. I talked about it in the first episode a little bit, but the main reason I'm doing this podcast is to improve my communication and my speaking. I want to be able to convey my thoughts in an organized manner. I want to be able to interview people and have better conversations. I want to be able to lead discussions and kind of get value out of the conversations and interactions that I have with people. And so there's a limited amount that you can do with that when you're just talking in an empty room to your own microphone. But I'm thankful to have a lot of people that have volunteered to come on the podcast and talk with me. So I feel like both of those have helped me, because you need to be able to do the speaking by yourself portion, and you need to be able to do the conversations with other people portion to become a well-rounded speaker, in my opinion. So I get the best of both worlds by doing this. I think I've improved greatly from episode 1. And I think if you come back episode 30, hopefully there's an episode 30 of this podcast, you will be able to notice some differences from episode 15 to episode 30. So each day I try to get better. I try to brick by brick build myself up into a better person. And I hope that I'm able to do that step by step. So this is just another point in my content creation journey. I've gotten more familiar with Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Anchor app, allowing me to use RSS feeds to kind of upload and distribute my content. So I'm learning things, I'm getting better, and I'm having fun doing it. And so that's the reason that I keep coming back every Wednesday for you guys. And I don't see an end in sight very soon. I hope that I'm able to keep this thing going as long as I have fun and I stay committed. So hope you guys are able to learn a little more. Hope you guys are able to learn a little bit more about me during this episode, about my journey in content creation, about some of the reasons and mentality for me doing each step of my content creation journey. And maybe you guys have a similar path. Maybe you guys have a different path in content creation. Have you ever gone semi-social media famous? Have you ever had a video that caught fire and got a ton of likes and views? Who knows? If you want to share it with me, hit me up in the DMs. What's_cooking on Instagram. What's_cooking on Twitter. I have a YouTube channel. I have a Facebook page. Check me out. All that good stuff. Linktree in the bio. You guys are going to be able to jump around with the description. I'm going to put time cards in there, as always. At this time, I would like to direct you over to see what is cooking in each of the 4 categories, starting, as always, with sports. What's cooking in sports? Iowa football finally back in the win column, getting the victory over Northwestern. This was a complete game for the Hawks, wire-to-wire victory. Very little turbulence, very little struggle here. Obviously, this kind of expected, though, with Northwestern not being a very worthy opponent. They have not won a game in the United States this year. Their only win came against Nebraska in the opener, which was overseas. And throughout the game, we were listening to the commentators, and they were talking about how Iowa really has improved, and man, they look so much better this week. They must have had a great week of practice. They must have figured out what was going wrong, and they've just corrected everything, and man, Iowa is back. They are doing great. And as much as I love Iowa, and I would love for that to be true, I think that the commentators need to pump the brakes a little bit and realize that last week we were playing against number 2 Ohio State, one of the best, if not the best, some people think second best according to the rankings, college football team in the NCAA. So it's expected to struggle against them. And now we go and play against Northwestern, who is on the other end of the ladder. They are one of the worst programs. So for them to say that Iowa has somehow turned it around and everything is all fine and dandy now, I feel like that's a little unrealistic. I think that it's easy to look good against Northwestern. It's easy to look bad against Ohio State. I don't think we learned a whole lot about the Hawks this week, other than our defense is still good and we can beat Northwestern, which is not really breaking news in my opinion. In the NFL, the Chargers are on a bye week. I didn't have to watch a struggling offense and a struggling defense and a struggling coaching staff in the NFL this week, so that was a little bit relaxing, not having to stress over the pain that the Chargers often put me through. However, I do love watching my team, so a little give and take there. I was watching Sunday Ticket, and my fantasy team in one of my football leagues started out 0-7. We got to win this week, so I'll take that, boys. I had Jared Goff, I had Jamal Williams, I had Jalen Waddle, and Mike Gesicki. Those 4 players were all in the same game, Lions versus Dolphins. That game was a shootout, a lot of offense being played, and it worked in my favor because I needed those fantasy points to start racking up, and I'm glad that things worked out the way they did. My playoff chances are still technically alive, although I really have no realistic hope of doing anything as far as making the leaderboard at the end of the year. I think in our league we have the top 3 people get paid money, so as far as an 0-7 team, you probably are not looking at prize money, but it's fun to say that I'm still statistically alive. Something I can bring up with my friends when they try to trash talk my performance this year. So, it's the little things that you got to celebrate. TJ Hawkinson, the tight end who played at Iowa, who was drafted by the Lions, just got traded to the Minnesota Vikings. This is insane. He was having a solid year. He was having so many standout performances for the Lions, and they drafted him number 7 overall a couple of years back. And I really didn't think that they would move off of him this quickly. My goodness. The Vikings loading up on offensive talent. They're really making a push. They want to surround Kirk Cousins with all the weapons and the bells and whistles that he needs to be successful. I'm very excited to watch that. My brother's a big Vikings fan, so I kind of keep an eye on them every now and then, and they're pretty close to Iowa, so if they can do some damage with Hawkinson and the boys, then more power to them. I'm all for it. In the NBA, Steve Nash has been fired. Oh, man. The Brooklyn Nets head coach. I remember when Nash was first getting hired by the Nets, and Nash was asking Dirk to come join the coaching staff, and Dirk declined because he wanted to stay loyal to Dallas, as he always does. He wanted to continue to support the organization that he played for 21 years. although they are great friends, Nash and Dirk, Dirk decided to stay in Dallas. It turned out to be a pretty good move because Nash has not been able to get a whole lot of success out of Brooklyn. KD and Kyrie, I've talked about it before, a lot of off-the-court drama going on. Not really resilient players. And when you think of players who are mentally tough and durable and guys that you can rely on every single night, I feel like KD and Kyrie aren't the first people that I think of. Obviously, they're great players and everything, but there needs to be a certain amount of accountability for some of the off-the-court commotion and noise that they bring to the organization. I think it can really hurt the locker room, and I think it can really hurt the progress of a team. So they need to figure out how to get some chemistry going, how to just kind of focus on the Brooklyn Nets and block out the noise. Hopefully they are able to figure out. It sounds like they're considering hiring Ime Udoka in the future, which is crazy because he just got suspended for a year. I don't know if it was by the league or if it was actually by the Celtics. But for them to swoop in and kind of take him off of the Celtics, it reminds me a lot of Kareem Hunt from the NFL when the Chiefs, when his situation came out and the Chiefs decided to cut him, and then the Browns swooped in and just like got him at a low cost and benefited off of that. I don't know, it kind of seems a little scummy to me that one team has to get rid of a person in order to look presentable and good, and then the other team can just kind of swoop in and grab them at their low point. I don't really know how I feel about that. It's kind of defeats the purpose of the original suspension, in my opinion, but who knows, man? Maybe they'll forgiveness will prevail and they will allow him to coach. I don't know how it's all going to go down, but something I'll be keeping an eye on. What's cooking in finance? I told you guys last week it was a big earnings week for the second week in a row, and there were a lot of short-term price movements. Some of the notable ones, Meta, aka Facebook, they fell off a cliff after hours last week. I believe they fell over 20% within a matter of like 10 minutes or something. Absolutely downfall. Just devastation. If you look at the 7 or 8 year chart on Meta, this is the lowest stock price they've had since early 2016. That's like over 6 years without a positive return. If you bought Meta in 2016, you're down on your investment most likely. That's very concerning. Zuckerberg and his metaverse investments, who knows if they'll be successful in the long term, but we do know in the short term, with all the inflation going on and the crisis that we're going through, some people would call it a recession. The metaverse spending is not seeing much short-term benefit, and investors are getting impatient, and it's starting to show in the stock price. So maybe this is a good value pickup if you're long Meta, if you believe in the long-term vision of the company. I don't personally have individual shares of Meta. Obviously, I have some ETFs and some funds that have Meta in there, but I don't know. Zuckerberg is really going off on his own. He's in uncharted territory right now, and we're going to find out in a couple of years if he's off his rocker or if he's really on to something here. Another one that fell after hours last week was Amazon. I think they missed their expected earnings by like 0.5% or something. And still, they saw some damage. It was like over 10% that they lost from their stock price. Not quite as bad as Meta. If you pull up the 5-year chart, I think you're still up on Amazon. But yeah, there's some dangerous levels of volatility going on. people say crypto's volatile, but I don't know, man. Some of these tech stocks trading like altcoins out here, man. That's some tweets I've seen talking about that, but I don't know. It's scary times. You got to be able to have the mental toughness to hold on and think long term, zoom out, and don't get caught up in the short term movements. Bitcoin White Paper Day, aka October 31st, 2008. If you guys are interested in Bitcoin, you might know that the white paper, which is the document that describes Bitcoin and how it works, was originally published October 31st, 2008, 14 years ago. That's impressive. That is interesting. I definitely did not know anything about Bitcoin when I was trick-or-treating as a Halloween, on Halloween back in 2008, but man, it's come a long way, and it still has a long way to go, and we're excited to see how it will continue to grow and evolve. If you guys haven't read the white paper for Bitcoin, I highly recommend doing it. I still need to get more familiar with it myself. It's very complicated, but it's a very important piece of history as far as cryptocurrency goes. It's groundbreaking technology, and Satoshi Nakamoto has delivered with Bitcoin, and we are all thankful. What's cooking in technology? It finally happened, guys. Elon Musk is taking over Twitter. He completed his purchase. He took the company private. You are no longer able to buy shares of Twitter at this point in time. It's off the market, private company. Elon walked into the Twitter building. I don't know if you guys saw the video on social media, holding a sink. And he did this to recreate the meme of "let that sink in," which is absolutely top tier comedy. That's Elon at his best. Let that sink in that Elon is finally the owner of Twitter. He did not hesitate to make changes. He fired the CEO and a couple other high up executives, gave them some hefty severance packages. Some people call them golden parachutes. Upwards of tens of millions of dollars in severance package money. He did not really see eye to eye with some of the high up executives at Twitter, and he wasted no time getting them out of the building. He's taken over. He's bringing in his people. I heard that there's going to be Tesla employees coming to review the code at Twitter, which is pretty intense. That's interesting. I didn't know that was going to take place, but Elon wants a full audit, and he wants to really understand what he's getting himself into. He recently announced that Twitter Blue, which is like their premium subscription service for like the additional benefits, instead of the check marks being granted to people who Twitter deems necessary based on their own criteria, it's going to be a level playing field. It's going to be $8 a month for Twitter Blue. You pay the $8 a month, you get your check mark, you get some other benefits, and Elon seems to think that this will be a much more fair and level system. I'm not really sure how this is going to play out, obviously, but we're going to have to see if people enjoy it. If it brings about a more fair process, then I'm all for it. But there you go. Elon making some changes. I assume more will be on the way, but just keep a lookout for Twitter and how it will change. We've heard that many people who have been kicked off of Twitter could be returning. Not sure if that'll happen soon. Not sure if they want to return to Twitter, but there's a good possibility that some of the previously kicked off and banned people would make a return under Elon's ownership. What's cooking in video games? There's a lot of content I could go talk about right now because Modern Warfare 2 just came out for the Call of Duty series. I'm not a big fan of the Call of Duty games nowadays, especially the naming convention. There was already a game called Modern Warfare 2 that was released in like 2009. So why are you naming it Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 again? That game already exists. Like, what are you doing? Who are you helping? We already had that game. This is going to be so confusing. When you search videos, now Modern Warfare 2 is going to be not its individual own game. It's going to be inflated with other search results, and it's just going to be skewed, and you're going to have to specify by the year. I really disagree with the decisions from Call of Duty naming it this way, and Modern Warfare has also been a game in 2019 that did the same thing. It's super frustrating. It makes no sense to me, but I don't really care too much because I'm no longer a Call of Duty player for the current games. I've heard mixed results, mixed reviews on the gameplay so far. Some people seem to think that they're straying away from the basics and the tried and true formula that Call of Duty fans know and love. Other people think that some of the content is lacking in terms of depth, and they're going to try to update things as they go. I'm not really a big fan of some of these live service games where you have Season 1, Season 2, Battle Pass, updates, quick fixes, and downloadable content, and pay to win. And it's just like, you should have a finished product on release day, in my opinion. You should have a game that can survive and stand alone on its own on the day of release. It feels like they're trying to release part of a game and then kind of evolve it and create the game as they go, and I'm not really a fan of that. So that's all the time I'm going to spend on Call of Duty for today. If you guys disagree, let me know. What I want to talk about in video games this week is something I've mentioned once previously in a What's Cooking segment. This guy named Shift. He's a Twitch streamer. He streams mostly speedruns for SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. But recently he has been doing a subathon where if people subscribe to him on Twitch, it adds a certain amount of time to the timer. And as long as that timer has time on it, the stream will continue. So there's different bonuses you can get where if you chain a bunch of subs together, the time will increase by higher and higher amounts, and a bunch of promos and stuff you can do. This guy has been non-stop streaming for 81 days. And now keep in mind, he's not actually at the computer the whole time. There's activities that you can do on stream where the chat can control it. And he does that while he sleeps, but he'll sleep and let the chat control certain games to keep the stream going, and then comes back once he wakes up. But he did it for 81 days, and it finally ended. He was playing so many different games. It started out with SpongeBob SquarePants the movie, then it went to Incredibles, and he cycled through so many different games, and it was really cool to see the dedication and the support from the fans and the viewers. I mean, he was bringing in probably at his highest peak, he probably got over 30,000 subs at one point, which is unreal for a channel of his size. Previously pretty small, but he grew so much during this, and it's really insane to see that kind of success, and it's really impressive. So big shout out to Shift. He's a legend in the gaming and speedrun community, and he's going to continue to do big things on Twitch. I think he was recently doing a speedrunning event, and he's planning more content. He's planning more subathons in the future, so definitely cool. If you guys are interested in Twitch and speedruns and subathons and that kind of stuff, you might find that interesting. Otherwise, that's probably it for me for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode talking about some of my content creation over the years. Never really know what I might get cooking up in my creative mind and when I get into my creative stuff, as I sometimes say. Right now, the current creative project is this podcast. It's called What's Cooking. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Linktree, all the socials that I've shown to you guys in the past in the Linktree in my bio. There's a description below the podcast where you can jump to different points in the episode with the time markers. You guys probably know the drill by now, but just want to let you know in case maybe this is your first time listening. But for me, I'm going to head out. Hope you guys enjoy the day. Make it a good one. We'll be back next Wednesday. See ya!